Hello everyone, Stephanie Davis here today. Today I thought I'd share this Watercolor with Me in the Forest book with you guys, and I wanted to share how I'm using it for some inspiration and hopefully it will inspire some of you. So I'm showing a little bit of this book because I really think it's fabulous. It's got some great tutorials and it walks you through step by step how to watercolor some different images of the forest animals. And she's got them sketched out for you. She tells you which colors to use, and then you can simply paint them in the book. Well, I decided to take this as inspiration and of course do some different things, and so I wanted to share that with you. But I am going to show you the rest of the book because there's lots of beautiful images she has here, like this bird, a wolf, some flowers. She has a little bit of everything. There's some landscapes, there's some even salamanders, there's a few bugs, and of course the fox, which is what I'm going to share with you. So when I was looking at this book, I really thought it was great. I love how she teaches you how to paint fur, and she really gives you, I think, a great starting place. If you're like me, and I've accumulated a lot of art supplies, but I can't say I'm using them more than swatching because I get tied up in trying to create some masterpiece and I don't get much done. So what I decided to do is go ahead and trace all the images, and that will give me more chances because a lot of times I'm afraid I'm going to mess up because I'm still new at all this. So that fear of messing up makes me wait to start anything. So I went ahead and used my light pad. I sketched and I traced all of the images, and I just put them in different sketchbooks. And that's going to let me compare different papers and different art supplies. So here I'm showing how I'm using my light pad, and this is actually a Cricut BrightPad that I shared with you guys before. I really still like it. And I'm going to be using these Arteza watercolor pencils, which Arteza did send to me, and I'm trying them out for the first time. So it has some lovely colors, and it's in this nice tin, and I'm actually going to show you the back in a minute. So it's got lots of nice colors. And I'm using a water brush just to sketch them out and try to see how they blend in the paper. They blend pretty well. All of the lines don't always go away, but I could have used a heavy hand. I've never actually used any kind of watercolor pencils before. So this is my very first time trying any of this. So I'm trying to see which color is going to be the color I want to use for a fox, and I'm also testing out to see if you can totally erase the pencils, which I could with a brush. And I was also trying what it was going to be like to use the graphite aquarelle pencil that I had bought, thinking I would use that instead of a regular pencil, but it does sketch out pretty gray when I washed it out. So it does help to sharpen these. I will say I wish these come sharpened. They come flat at the end and they come like partially sharpened. So they do work much better if you sharpen them all the way. So I'm just taking I think I use cinnamon, and then I'm also using ivory to use my light pad and sketch the fox out really quick because I really don't like pencil lines when I do any painting. So I really think these are going to be great to sketch items out and then not have to worry about any pencil lines. So for my first attempt, I thought I would actually try the pencils without any paints and just see how they do. So I've taken another sketchbook and I just sketched it out with the light pad again. And now I'm going to go ahead and color it all in and use a water brush. And that way I thought it would be great to try them without using them just by themselves without any additional watercolors. So I'm putting my first coat down, and my intention here was to lay a light wash down and then to go back and add more texture and just keep going and see how they layer. And I've had a few of you request that I go ahead and share how I'm sketching these things out and how I'm using my art supplies. So I thought I would put on some music and let you follow along and see what I'm doing. So after I finished coloring this fox out, I thought I really liked it and I'd really like to combine it and use this for the Draw Your Day book by Samantha Dion Baker. This is another book I recently picked up and I love it. And I just need a way to, I just needed a starting place. And if I wait to find a day where I feel like it's worth documenting, it's going to be a long time and I think it'll be another year. And there's lots of inspiration in this book, and I would like to get where I am doing what she does, but for now, I thought maybe I would just draw whatever I can, and then maybe as days go on, I can start actually drawing more of what happened in my day. I'm probably not following what she said to do, but I figure you have to start somewhere. So I'm going to combine this, and I'm going to do a little bit of everything. Another problem that I have with documenting my day is sometimes I stumble for what to say because I can be really sarcastic. And so I thought these little sayings, these are snarky sayings by Tim Holtz, and they're little stickers. And to me, they're perfect because a lot of times I use sarcasm to deal with my first world problems. And so I thought some of these would be perfect. And that's what, when I used to scrapbook, it kind of held me back from scrapbooking because I would get stuck thinking of the perfect thing to say. And maybe it's because I struggle with perfectionism and I think I have to have it perfect before it's worth documenting, which I know is completely wrong. And I would never do that to anybody else, but I'm incredibly hard on myself and critical of myself, which I am never that way with anybody but myself, sadly. But I just thought this would be a good place to start. And for me, starting sometimes is the hardest to do. So I hope this will help some of you if you're struggling with those same issues, especially if you're busy. And if you're busy like me, I have 3 kids, I have a husband, my husband travels, and so I'm pretty much doing everything when he's gone, and then it doesn't leave me a whole lot of time. And so the time that I do have, I want it to be time to play and do things that I enjoy. So I hope this will help some of you. And then in just a few minutes, I'm going to share some other ways that I use this. But for right now, I'm trying to get a little bit of a background, and this is something that I really struggle with when I do artwork because I don't want the background to be white, but many times I've tried to do something and it ruins it. So I'm always a little scared of how much of a background I want to create. So for this, I just used some indigo and some Mykonos, I think is how you say it. What a fun color. I just made a light wash of a background. I really wanted to just add some gold and black splatters, but again, I was afraid I would ruin it. So here's some of the colors that I had swatched out. I need to go through and swatch all of them out. There's some lovely colors. So for the next project I wanted to share, I'm going to actually test out some watercolors on watercolor paper, and I thought this would be an excellent way to try out different kinds of watercolor paper to see which I like. And I'm going to pretty much follow the colors she used except for the ivory black. That's like the no-go for me. I can't use that color. I think it's so boring, and so I usually mix ultramarine and burnt umber to get a black, or somehow use the colors that I'm already using in my palette to mix a black. And so this is where she shows you how to paint fur, and that gives you a place to do that. And I just went ahead and did that in the book. This book does have watercolor paper, so you can of course just paint right in the book, but I'm using a light pad to trace it to get kind of more mileage out of it. So I'm following her directions, and I'm starting out with a very light wash with the burnt sienna. And I think she recommended a size 6, and I'm using a size 8 because I knew I'm using some Arches watercolor paper, and it's really thirsty paper, so I knew I wouldn't be able to do it with a size 6. I really would have used a size 12 here if it was up to me. But I just have this watercolor paper on my clipboard, and I'm just doing a simple wash. I'm trying to make sure I can get a smooth wash and not have any harsh lines. So I make sure and finish the wash before the paint dries. And that's how you can make sure you don't get any harsh lines. If I would let that dry, then it would leave a line if I went back later. So I'm doing my first layer, and I'm trying to pretty much follow the directions she says, and she gives really good, easy directions to follow, I believe, for any beginner. And so the next direction says to go in with a little more pigment to add your second layer and start adding the little lines of fur. So I don't want to bore you guys, so I'm going to again put on some brief music and let you follow along as I paint this fox. After I had finished that painting, I decided to go back and add some fine black detail, and one of my three children stole my good pen, so I'm just using a Sharpie, and that seems to always happen around my house. So I decided to go ahead and use a Sharpie, and I also went in with a white gel pen and did just a little bit of detail. So I had so much fun doing this. The next day I found a Google reference photo to use, and I went ahead and sketched it out in my sketchbook. And so this is what I created the next day, and I just sketched it out with the watercolor pencils, and I didn't do anything else. This is entirely watercolor pencils. And I had a lot of fun doing this, and it was really quick and easy. I didn't trace it or anything, I just drew it off the picture the best I could and tried not to worry about it being perfect. I actually did film me doing this, but it was on my daughter's iPad and I couldn't get it to transfer to this computer for some reason, so I apologize. But next time I'll try to show you guys the whole process. But I'm really enjoying it and I hope it inspires you to try something similar. Thanks so much for watching and I hope you have a wonderful day.